Hi there, welcome to the blog. Today we're going to be looking at custom fader map mode. So this is a way of accessing your plugins and bringing them down onto the faders here directly in front of you so that you can bring down the parameters precisely that you're after. Now in my session here today I've basically got my auxiliary track, which is my microphone, and a second auxiliary, which is a copy of Reverb 1. What I'm going to do is create a custom plugin map for Reverb 1. So if we look at here in the console, I'm in Insert View on Auxiliary 2. I can dive into my plugin in two different ways. First way is simply by being in focus mode here, focus on that channel, and then simply hit the plugin button here in my custom fader section. If I do that, it brings up my plugins across the pots here in the blue custom fader section. If I jump back out of that, the other way of going into here is simply by hitting the Reverb 1 select button on a D command. So in this case, it will jump into the same area. Now to create our custom fader map, there's a couple of different ways of accessing our parameters. The easiest one, if you don't want to make your own custom map, would simply just be to hold down the control button and hit flip. And that will flip down the first row of pots. It remembers that was the view that you were last in, so next time you dive into Reverb 1, it'll be with those parameters up there, for example, your wet dry, your reverb time, and your attack, and so forth. That may not be perfect for everything that you want to do. So let's go back to the default view and start making our map. To do this is quite simple. We basically just hit the map key here at the top right hand section of our custom faders. And from there, we select the fader that we want to bring a parameter down onto and touch the parameter. So in this case, I'm going to bring down my wet dry. I'm then going to map down my reverb time. I'm going to map down my pre-delay and the size of the room, and maybe I'll bring down my gains over here at the far side. So I'll bring in my low frequency gain and my low frequency cutoff and the high frequency gain as well. So I've just made myself a custom fader map. If I hit the map button the second time, it's toggling me in and out of this state. So it goes back to default or into my map view. Now, anytime that I focus on Reverb 1, it remembers the last state that it was in. So there's my map ready to go. And you can see from the GUI, just by opening the window, that I'm now controlling the wet dry, the time, my pre-delay, and lastly the character, the low frequency gain, and roll off here of exactly how much to the bottom end I want to pull off and how big the reverb is there from that size. Jump back in, I'm back into my X. So it's that simple. That's custom fader plugin mapping. Next blog, I'm actually going to go back to the beginning and we're going to go through custom faders in a bit more detail and how they all work. I hope that's useful and talk to you all soon.